We sometimes price things in amounts of our time, our labor. Like,
True.
oh man, I want to put a down payment on my house, but I'm going to have to work 2 years before I'll have enough money to make a down payment on a house.
I was trying to get in there and get some. About 65,000. I turn around. Next thing I know, it's up to 77,000.
So here's the main site, spacesprotocol.org. And if you go to this is actually a great wealth of information.
The general consensus, so look at that, touch 81.1.
81.1, yeah. So
generally, people were saying, and this was for months, that the bottom will be October 2026. Bitcoin, based on historical data, is going to bottom. So people were calling for 40,000, 50,000, and it could have done that. It could still do that, but it shocked everyone the opposite way to the upside.
You say, oh, I want OX, 0x. I'm all excited to get 0x. I come in here, I put in 0x, it says it's registered.
Squatting is one of the fatal flaws that plagues a lot of decentralized naming systems. Of course, this is the most decentralized naming system we've ever seen. It's on Bitcoin, no token, no new chain, but other naming systems claim to be decentralized. And one of the main factors that mess them up is squatting. People come in, they grab all the best names right off the rip as soon as they hear about it, and boom, the system dies because it doesn't allow for new people to come in and get excited about names because all the popular high-value names have been taken. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Bitcoin Spaces with Jason and Andrew.
What's up, Jason?
What's up, Andrew? Today is Friday, August 28th, 2026. Bitcoin block height 964,453. Bitcoin USD price 79,497 US pieces of paper. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Bitcoin pumping. Breached over 81,000 for the first time since May.
Wow. Yeah, I'd seen it was up to 80, but I didn't check this morning.
Up to 81, yeah. So I was trying to get in there and get some. About 65,000. I turn around. Next thing I know, it's up to 77,000.
Man, yeah, it did take a pretty significant jump. And I don't know if I could maybe bring up the coin market cap graph for the week. Well, I'll put it on month view here. I'll share it. Yeah, it's like it's a pretty significant bump. And when you think percentage wise, it's up for the month 24%, like in a month. I mean, and most of that was in like only over a couple days.
Yeah.
So let's see. Share.
Normally how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Couple days, couple weeks, Bitcoin pumps up or down.
Exactly. So you should see it here. You got the screen?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Just straight up vertical.
So that's the monthly chart. If we zoom out a week, if I can, that may not be in this week now.
A little chop here. Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at it, 65,000, like, let me get some in here. Let me stack some sats. 65,000, good price, great price. Next thing I know, turn around, it's up to 77,000. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it moved quick. But, this is what happens. They said, what is it? I've heard said it's like if you were in Bitcoin, like the right 3 days of each year, it's like most of the big moves happen in a very short time. And you can't really just, wait for a move and then like, okay, great. So we're watching for a big move. You're like, I'm watching. It's like, bouncing around, kicking around 64 forever. And you're like, you see this big move, it's like, oh, I get in. It's on the way. So, you get in here at, 78, and now it's like kicking around that 78 now. I guess it's back down to 79, but we were up to 80, 81,
Yeah.
80, mid 80s, high 80s. So
Yeah. So the general consensus, yeah. So look at that, touch 81.1.
81.1, yeah. So
generally, people were saying, and this was for months, that the bottom will be October 2026. Bitcoin, based on historical data, is going to bottom. So people were calling for 40,000, 50,000, and it could have done that. It could still do that, but it shocked everyone the opposite way to the upside.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So we were at 120,
Right.
So put it in context. But I mean, if you study the fundamentals, right, it seems like there's a lot of macroeconomic signal that's pointing to greater stress in the broader economy. And you hear, I mean, if you listen to the financial talking heads, right, they're starting to talk about the debasement trade again. And when you say the debasement trade, I think people don't think Bitcoin, but if you hear that and you're like, well, shit, what's that debasement trade? Maybe I need to be getting in on that. And you look into it. What is it? It's precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and other bearer instruments that are limited or supply. Bitcoin, land, farmland. That's the kind of asset we're talking about. So we're right in there. We're in the mix.
Yeah.
Be the thing that's first top of mind, but it's a thing, right?
Yeah, your audio cut out a little bit there, but even 65, 65 is great, but just because it went up to 80 is still great. So don't think because it went up 20,000 US dollars that you're out of the woods or you missed the boat, you missed your chance. Yeah, you left 20 grand on the table. But still, it's a great deal. Like you said, 120, 126, 125 was the top. So we're still way below that, sitting around 80,000.
Right. And think where the psychology goes, right? It's anytime, and it's kind of stupid because people think about it in the current number, like in current dollars. So when the price gets back up to 120, it'll be over a year has passed. So when it breaks above 120, everybody's going to be saying, oh, all new time highs. But I got to get in. But then is it really all new time highs? Because the dollar has debased in that year. So you really need to have an all-time high adjusted for inflation all-time high. And when it gets past that, then like the all-time high for silver was like in 1980. So when it went up to like 160 about a year or so ago, everybody's like, all new time high. Well, like inflation adjusted new time high would have been something like 250 or something like that. So it was like, you got to look at this stuff in terms of the purchasing power value of what you're buying it with in today's terms. And most people don't go that far to think about it that way. But on the other hand, it's like, hey, it's going to hit a new monetary all-time high. Once it hits that, then everybody's like, oh, the Bitcoin trade is back on, the rally is back on, and we need, just think of the attention that's going to get from normal plebs.
Oh yeah, going to get a lot of attention. It's hard to value Bitcoin or compare it because we use the dollar with everything. We use the dollar to pay our bills. So even though the dollar's inflating in units and deflating in value, it's going down in value, still it's so hard for us to do it. So wasn't there a site out there that had Bitcoin priced in? It was like you could do anything: oil, gold, beef.
I know one I look at once in a while is priced in gold.
So,
let me see if I can pull it up.
I think that's a good way to do it, where you price the Bitcoin in gold. Everything's fighting against the dollar, but we're always comparing everything against the dollar. But if we can just get the dollar out of the picture and compare two solid things like gold and Bitcoin, that might go a long way in helping people understand the value.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it's something that I try to bring up. I'll pull this up again. So there's a site priced in gold. Now I wish maybe there is one priced in Bitcoin, but priced in gold is a good proxy for just understanding things, right? So if I look down here, so they have currencies priced in gold, and then they have like how much has it changed since last week and month. So we see gold is in the green when priced against Bitcoin and Ethereum cryptos. And what else? Against different equities. But here, things like other commodities, right? Gold is a commodity. So, things like oil, platinum, silver, it's above. But palladium, it's not as good. So it means palladium's actually a better buy right now. Things like coffee. But on the right here, you have all these charts. So if you wanted to go and say Bitcoin priced in gold.
Okay, that's one way to do it. There it is.
You look at this chart and you see, okay, I don't know if it's big enough. I can maybe make it bigger. There you go. So, so here's a priced, so what is it? The dollar is this green line. So dollar value's going down. Gold is the straight line because that's what we're denominating this chart in, right? And here's the Bitcoin, gold to Bitcoin is this blue line. And notice that this chart is a logarithmic chart, not a linear chart. So we can see that that Bitcoin wasn't doing as good against gold down here, but it's doing better than gold up here, and it's in these low and high bands. Now, you can see it's dropping down, so maybe it would be a good time to sell some gold and buy some Bitcoin if you believed in Bitcoin. But if I look at this chart, this is on a linear scale. Here's gold down here. Look at how Bitcoin has performed against gold since 2017. That's crazy. Like 1,000. If gold is at usually they scale these things. So gold is here at at the 100 mark. But anyway, it's like that's the real story. That's how much better it's done. And if you understand these things, you can look at, well, how is it, what about gold against coffee? Here's gold against coffee, coffee kind of bounces around quite a bit. I mean, and they have all sorts of things.
So the graph is the coffee. So it's the price of the coffee.
Related to gold.
Okay.
So, but I think it's instructive to look at these charts and just get a sense of how prices of other things relate to, a denominator that's different from the one we are that's so built into our conscious. In fact, I was last weekend, I was listening to I finished a book called Trekonomics, which is about the economy of Star Trek. And again, it's fictional, but it's like what I was reading it was because in Star Trek Second Generation, they completely have gotten rid of money entirely, and they have a society based on trust. It's like your worth is based on the amount of trust. Now, they never measure it, but it's interesting. How do we get there? Well, having a complete, a system of abundance is a kind of a prerequisite, and we're not at a state of abundance. But anyway, I think it's really good to kind of think about it. And I was also thinking about like the paradigm shifts and how it's so hard for people to change their thinking about stuff. And I was looking up some information about that, and it turns out that when what you're trying to change your thinking about is expressed in the system that you're trying to change your system thinking about, it's the hardest thing because it's so ingrained. Anyway,
That is super hard. Check this out. Check this site out. Priced in Bitcoin 21.com. So you got priced in gold. Check out priced in Bitcoin 21.com.
All right, let's pull this up. All right, priced in Bitcoin. Yeah, very good. So gold, I guess Microsoft or MicroStrategy stock.
Share your screen. Let's take a look.
Oh, sorry, did I undo it? Sorry about that.
There we go.
Oh.
All right.
There we go. So, yeah, I'm not familiar with the site, but I guess, can you like click on things?
So confusing. I mean, a lot of lines going on here.
So I just clicked on oil, crude oil, priced in gold. So in Bitcoin. So the price of crude oil has dropped quite a bit
Yeah.
in the last few years. All right, let's find something else.
So this is cool. This is what we got to start changing our brains to thinking about. It's going to take forever. It's so hard.
We should, like here's a good one. Real estate. So real estate priced in Bitcoin. So if you were to buy a house, and I'm not sure what the metrics are, we'd have to look at this a little more. But, a Bitcoin could buy like effectively 131, I don't know, thousand. I'm not sure I'll have to figure out. See, this is a thing. You have to kind of figure out what's the units that you're dealing with. But from the start of this chart, the time span, let's go, like, how has it changed? This is what this is, percentage of change since the start of the chart. So this goes back to 21. So we can see that the price of a house crept up for about a year, and then it's gone down priced in Bitcoin, so which like probably correlates to the price of Bitcoin going down.
Yeah, it's like the opposite, right? So if you look at the Bitcoin USD price, it must have went down November 2022 and been at its lowest point.
Right. So I did 10 years. So this now includes, the 2017 into 18. So this would have been like COVID. So the price of housing crashed in Bitcoins. But then again, now we're going back to a time when Bitcoin had explosive growth, right?
No one's going to care about that. You can't do this 10 years.
Probably not a very good thing. Let's look at 1 year. So 1 year, the price of the house went up in terms of Bitcoin. Now, this makes kind of sense because Bitcoin's been sitting in the doldrums for quite a while, a good part of this year, like in that 58, 60K. The price of housing probably didn't change all that much in the same time period. So yeah. Anyway, look, you can use linear log scale, Bitcoin to USD. You can add a couple different prices. We should I'm going to play with this a little bit and like maybe we can make this as one of the features that we kind of look at.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Because we come in, we read the block height, we read the Bitcoin price in dollars. So maybe we should flip that up. But people, it's just so hard because, we want to switch, but so many people still want dollars. We all work jobs for dollars. We go to the grocery store with dollars. We pay our bills with dollars.
Well, think about other things. Like, we sometimes price things in amounts of our time, our labor. Like,
true.
Oh man, I want to put a down payment on my house, but I'm going to have to work 2 years before I'll have enough money to make a down payment on a house if I like save at a certain rate. So just that exercise itself, and you probably had the same thought in your own head. It's like, man, it's going to cost me 2 years of my working life. That's the denominator. That's thinking about stuff in time, and your effort. And what is money? What is currency? It's a capture of your time. It's time that you've already spent working, right? Because you come into the world, you're naked, you're a baby, you're squealing and coin. You don't have anything, right? But you do have time. And, your parents kind of like give you some of their value as they bring you up to like, adulthood. Once you're an adult, man, it's like, it's on you to like, you know, get the best value for your time and energy and effort. I mean, unless you go like, even if you go farming and growing crops and food and sell the food, or go out and pan for gold, it's still your time and energy getting the gold, right? So
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it, actually, because yeah, when you were saying that, I was thinking, yeah, you work 40 hours a week. You tie your time, your work hours to the dollars that you're going to earn. So it's not such a far leap to assign time as valuable.
yeah, can you think of any other examples of when you do that kind of more naturally?
Work, not when you're having fun, really. You don't care how long that's going to
I mean,
take.
do you say, something like, apartment building? It's like, well, I could buy this apartment building and it has 30 units, or I can buy 20 houses, single family houses. So in that mode, you're saying, okay, well, the apartment building is priced in houses, right? And you're trying to make a value
Yeah.
judgment, you know, mm, that, it says like, well, if I buy 20 houses, I can house 20 families. But if I have a 30 unit apartment building, I can house 30 families that I can maybe get rent, but I won't be able to get as much rent from an apartment versus a house. So, it's like, plus the hassle of like managing 20 properties versus one property. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but these are the kind of equations you run in your head. And I think we should all like strive to like try to think of things valued in other things, just to kind of flex that brain like muscle, right? Of like what it like, just like looking at this chart. I'll pull it down, but the chart of things priced in Bitcoin, priced in other things. So anyway, good. That's a good exercise. And I've got some other things I've been reading that I kind of apply to this. We'll have to pick it up again next time.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so let's talk about Spaces Protocol. So Spaces Protocol being open source, how anyone can edit it, and something that you did with Spaces Protocol, a new feature, and that's the ability to look at the expired names.
Yeah. So for those that are new, I'm going to bring my screen back up here.
A super useful feature.
So if you're interested in Spaces Protocol, and Jason and I are all about it here, it's like a naming system built on Bitcoin. And without getting into all the details, the top level names, if I go to the help screen, let's see. So here's the main site, spacesprotocol.org. And if you go to this is actually a great wealth of information. But each name has these @ signs. So you can, anything to the right of the @ sign, you get through an auction process. And if you scroll down, it'll tell you all about the auction process, how that works. You need to use some software that understands how to do this, and you put some Bitcoin in there and you can start your own auction. And then the auctions go through a thing, and there's then certificates. We won't get into all this, but the thing that keeps where you can see, well, what names have been taken, you can say, oh, you go to this Explorer and you say, oh, let me see, Hope. Hope has been registered. Okay. Well, I hoped it wasn't, but it is. Mm-hmm. So Hope. Like I got my last name, Lundy. So it says it's registered. And I actually have now set up my name so that you can go to Andrew at Lundy and get information about me. But that's another thing. But the thing about this is you can look at the current auctions, and it says here, C3 can be claimed. What does this mean? It means that this name, C3, has been through the auction process. It's the public portion of the auction process is open for 10 days. And after that, whoever's the highest bidder can claim that. Now, this may have been a bit of a mistake, but the person is like not claimed it. So if you're interested in this, all you have to do is make a bid that's slightly higher than this, 0.00015 Bitcoin. And then as long as no one else for it, so it'll extend the auction an additional day. Every time there's an overbid after the first 10-day period, it'll extend an additional day. And then after tomorrow, if you come back and you're the highest bidder, then it's yours. You can register it. But same thing here, degens, candor, value chain, can it be claimed? All right. This one, clear, is claimable in 3 days, 9 hours. So whoever is the highest bidder for clear at a mere 1,000 sats. What's 1,000 sats today?
80 cents.
80 cents. 80 cents. So for 80 cents, they get a top level name. I mean, that's nothing, right? You can't fog a mirror for 80 cents. All right.
But it's in Bitcoin only. It's the Bitcoin economy.
Right.
Costs 1,000 Satoshis.
So what's difficult to understand about these things is that once you have one, if you don't do anything with it for a year, so this is the one caveat, almost everything about Spaces is permanent, but if you have a top level name and you don't do anything with it for a year, if there's no activity on chain for a year, it expires. Why is that? Well, somebody might have like Clear as an example. Somebody might have Clear and they were intending to use it, and then they lost their keys, or they got hit by a bus, or they forgot to put it in their estate planning and nobody knows about it, or something happened. If it never expired, then it would be unavailable forever. It would be just dead. So the thing is like, look, if you keep it renewing it, you'll always have it. But at least a good name that has expired, you can re-enter the auction process with it again. So
and the reason is because squatting is one of the fatal flaws that plagues a lot of decentralized naming systems. Of course, this is the most decentralized naming system we've ever seen. It's on Bitcoin, no token, no new chain, but other naming systems claim to be decentralized. And one of the main factors that mess them up is squatting. People come in, they grab all the best names right off the rip as soon as they hear about it, and boom, the system dies because it doesn't allow for new people to come in and get excited about names, because all the popular high value names have been taken.
Yeah, exactly. And Spaces kind of, to go into the docs and you can read all of the kind of qualifications, but one of the things that kind of prevents that immediate like landslide, the land grab kind of phase of a new system coming into existence is the fact that you can only it only allows 10 names a day to enter into the contention for the pool, the top 10 bidders. So right now, these are the top 10 names, or these are names that are in contention for the top 10.
Some good ones.
So if you a lot of these 2-character ones, why where did all these come from? Why all at once? Why now? And we'll talk about that here in a second. But so only 10 of these actually will go into the active bidding stage. So if I go back to the active bidding stage, we can see one actually made it in today. So BO is now, I guess, body odor is now available and it's actually been in here for, looks like, a couple days. So because it says 9 hours. So it's on its way. So if you're into BO, you might want to bid on that one. But one of the things about this Explorer is that it's difficult to know, like, there's no way to really ask what what has expired? Let's pull one up.
Yeah, so we could see current, upcoming, and past auctions.
Right. So I'm gonna put one in OX. Okay. You say, oh, I want OX, 0x. You know, I'm all excited to get 0x. I come in here, I put in 0x, it says it's registered. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. You know, whoever has OX, if they keep wanting to use it, then I'll never get a chance of it. I might wait a year and it expires. But if you look carefully, you'll see it says registered. Registration expired at 963,288. Well, what's the current height? Where are we at now? We're at higher than that.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I think we're 965 or something. Oh wait, here I can find out. I've got Mempool. Yeah, we're at 964456 right now. Oh, and you mentioned it at the top of the show anyway.
So why doesn't it automatically revoke it or kick it out? Is that messed up? Does it need to change? Why does someone have to bid on it?
So you would think that it would automatically go back into the available. So if I type in like 0Z maybe, it says it's available.
Yeah,
but yet
I like the fact that it shows the history of OX, though. It shows that it was bid on, rolled out, transferred. I like to see that and all the history. You can see the block height. You can go into the block and actually see the transaction, the wallet IDs, all this stuff. But
there's no way that I know of using this interface. And a lot of people coming to this is all they're going to see. This is what they're going to figure is available. Like, how do I know a list of all the names that were registered but now have expired? And when I can't just sit here and like guess everything, like, oh, it's AAA, no, AAB, no, AAC, no, AAD. You know, that's only four. I mean, that would be crazy. So there's got to be a way. So when you think about, okay, what is Basis Protocol? It's a protocol. I think we have to kind of remember it's a protocol. It's not a product. You know, there's a founding team. We know who the founding team is. We know who the key developers are. But it is not a product. It is not a company. It is a protocol. And it was written to be a protocol as the founding team's, you know, efforts. They wanted this. I want this. You want this, Jason. I put a lot of time into this. And it's open source. And what does that mean? It means that if it's open source, it means that you can do stuff with it. So I took and packaged all the software up into a nice little package for Start9. So one of the things is the command line interface. So when you install the Start9 package, you get, and this runs on a local node that you manage, a local Bitcoin node. So it's very private. And I created the command line, and I actually went into the code and I said, you know what? I want a command called get all spaces. It didn't exist. So I created the command get all spaces. And I mean, what was the list? How many? If we go back to the top, there's 3,569 spaces. Okay, that's a long list, right? But I don't want all those lists. I want the ones that are expired, where the expired block height, where the current block height is greater than the expired. That will give me a list of all the ones that, even though in the interface, you know, here, I can, like OX, I can look for it. I can see that there was activity, but I can't, and I can see here that it's expired. So I can now go and reopen the auction on this one. But how do I get, that's crazy. But if I have a list, a little command I can run, I can query all these things. And sure enough, 0x is an expired. So is 101. Let's go check that out. 101. 101. Sure
Now,
enough, it's registered, but if you go down here, it's expired.
You know what you should do? You should look up BO. What does BO show?
So here it's I'm showing it a screen to him. So look at these. You want Arab, you want Algeria, you want Adams. Are you someone with the last name Adams? Somebody was thinking about this. Burl. So Billy, Bird, Boy. That's probably not a bad one.
So it works.
But no, BO isn't here, right? Why? Because it's now back in active auction, right? So if I go back to BO.
But it was in there, so that's good. So now it works.
Why was it here? It was here. See, now it's showing in auction. So if you look at its history, it was first bid back in July of, well, I'm not sure what year this is. Maybe it was this last July. And then it went into active in August, and then it was bid on a couple times. Actually, somebody had some interest. Then finally it got transferred. So this is the registration action. But we see here recently, somebody noticed that it was expired, reopened the auction. It starts with a big revoke. This is the same action that happens. And then it got rolled out into the public auction. So it's back to being, a live name that if you're interested in it, you might consider. Now, so let's just go through some of these. I mean, I'm not gonna go through all of them, but Frontier, that's pretty cool.
And there's some good ones because there's people do this with domains, expired domains. Have you ever went to that site and searched the old domains?
Yeah, I mean, and some domain they will snipe these domains as soon as they expire. Imposter, Islam,
good ones.
Religion there. Let me just go through a few. Joust. I might have to get Joust. Joust is my favorite arcade game.
Okay, I never played it.
I love Joust. That's dating me. But look, JPEG. These kind of make sense. Kingdom. More 2-letter ones. Launch. I can imagine you might want that. Page. MP4. Looks like some last names here. Marzipan. If you're a confectionery. Nostalgia. Pinheads. Pride. Prometheus. Prompt.
Podcast is there. That's pretty good.
Podcast. Ooh, that's pretty good. Should I bid on that podcast?
Pretty
All right,
good.
let's show how to do podcast. All right, sexy.
Good too.
I'm too sexy for my cat. All right. Technium. All right, Traveler, Tulip. It's all going to tulips. And then, the puny code list is probably going to be huge. So for those that don't know, puny codes are those little icons, right? So evidently there's a bunch of them that people tried to get and now are back to being available. YDXZ. All right, let's do podcast. So I alias my spaces CLI. So I'm going to say spaces open 1. That's the fee rate 1 and at podcast.
So you don't have to type -- fee -rate 1. You could just do -f.
Oh, -f is a shorthand.
Is that just for your version or is that for the official version?
That's for everybody. Yeah.
Ah.
So I think that's it. So I'm going to reopen podcast. Boom. So here's the transaction. Again, I think it actually does 2 on these reopens. And you were doing this the other day. Did you have to use force?
Yes, -- force.
So let's look at the help. You can always look at the help. Oh my God, hang on. Let's make it a little smaller. Oh wait, spaces. Again, spaces and space CLI. I have it alias because I don't like typing space CLI every damn time.
Can you do that on the original one, or do you have to go into the code to do that?
No, I just have an alias set up.
I don't know how to do that. How do you do
So
that?
you just, it's a Unix command. You say alias spaces equals space CLI on the main net with this user, with this password. And that way I can make it. I've got other aliases that like use different wallets and stuff to make it a little easier. Anyway, so
Interesting.
open help, right? So again, I make this easy with the Spaces package for Start OS. So yeah, dash F means fee rate. It's a synonym for fee rate. So
Now, looking at that wallet, so -W is for wallet. When you do the export wallet or the backup wallet, can you also give it a name, the file name as well at the same time?
yeah,
And you would just put that file name after the command?
for the wallet,
Yeah, like if you wanted to export, save a wallet, so
yeah,
there's
you just
something.
say spaces, well, dash CLI, and then give it the dash W wallet name, like, main or something.
Okay.
And then you can, yeah, whatever, open or like list spaces,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah, it's kind of a cumbersome. That's why I set up aliases for that.
Yeah, that's
So,
pretty cool.
Okay, so I'm watching. So this is mempool running on my own Start9 box. So just as a little note, this keeps my privacy as internalized as possible. So I'm not using the public mempool. I'm using my own version of mempool. So this is mempool running against my own node. So I can see I just put that transaction, and because I gave it a fee rate of about 1, so currently the fee rate's around 2. So, and then it looks like the next block is full of transactions at fee rate 3. So I got X'd out of that. So I've been kicked out to the next block, which is fine. So
there was like 4 blocks that came earlier today. It was like right in a row, like a minute apart.
yeah, sometimes they'll come very fast. Look at this, 29 minutes ago, 26. So these things came 3 minutes apart. This one was more irregular. So that's another 12 minutes apart there. And then here, oh yeah, I see that. Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes it'll go 2 hours almost without a block.
Very
Sometimes
annoying when you're trying to wait for a confirmation.
But that's the nature of randomness in Bitcoin. You have to understand that. Anyway, all right. So I that command that I did earlier was again one that doesn't exist in the standard Spaces repo, the get all spaces, but it does in my version. So if you want my version, or if you want to just get the source code of the repo, just go to let's see, GitHub, Spaces protocol, and then Spaces. So you just go to this repo and clone it, fork it yourself, and have at it. It's open source code. So yeah, I've made some tweaks and modifications of things to make it a little bit more usable, and just want to encourage people to get into it doesn't take away. In fact, it adds. If you do something you're really useful, you can submit a pull request back to the core team, and contribute, make it better.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, the package that you did, I definitely think that expired spaces should be a pull request and added to the official code, whatever. But your Start OS application, is that just available now when you get Start9?
Right now, it is. Since I'm updating it, it's not in the official repo. Like marketplace, but I have a private marketplace. Start9 allows you to have a private marketplace. So this is my Start9 system, but you can have this marketplace and notice that. So these are all the packages. Oh, there's so many. And it really makes it nice to like run a server. But Spaces isn't here, but then that's the main one. You can have the community registry, which is not as much vetted as the main one. So it's not there. But notice there's alpha, beta, but then I have my own Spaces Ops registry. Spaces Ops is the platform for top level name operators, and that's what I'm building. So it's, if you have a Start9 system, you can add this to yours, https registry.spacesops.com, and when you do that, you will see it here as a package. Then all you got to do is click, install it, boom, you're done.
How you get it to add it to the Start9 repo?
Yeah, you submit it to them. I work with those guys pretty regular, so I don't think I'll have any problem when I'm ready to like finalize it. You'll notice that this one's at 030, but actually one of the main developers now bumped it to 031. So I'm trying to get all my packages rebuilt and packaged and uploaded again.
So how will that work then? So you're waiting for subs, right, to come out, the full subs, then you're going to package it, update it. But how will that work when the official one gets updated? Will you then also have to update yours as well?
Yeah, I'll publish it, and then it will appear as a new version on the main. Eventually, it won't be here in the special registry. It'll be here in the probably in the community registry, which is like the community contributions. So
yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, a lot of great work you're doing on this.
Thanks. But yeah. Oh, and I'm actually, if anyone knows about Buzz, I've set up a Buzz relay to kind of be a place for people to collaborate on working on Spaces projects. So more about that in the future.
That's cool. That's cool.
So yeah.
So let's talk about Coldcard hack. So we got some updates with the Coldcard hack. Things are happening with the attacker possibly used a credit card or some sort of identifying system or service to do the attack.
Yeah, the thing about the Coldcard exploit, it's, I don't know, you call it a hack. I like to call it an exploit because the problem existed so for 5 years. And this is a thing that's so devastating about this Coldcard thing, is that the people that were really serious about being Bitcoins, the people that really like paid attention, really educated themselves enough to know, oh, it's not about just buying Bitcoin on an exchange or whatever. It's like you have to take extra steps in order to like secure your possession of it and your control over it. And that, yes, while you could log into Coinbase or something and see a balance, oh, I got X Bitcoin. It's like, the question becomes, do they actually have that Bitcoin for you? It's like, what if everybody pulled all their Bitcoin off? Would they have enough Bitcoin in their reserve? Because it doesn't have your name on it when it's sitting in Coinbase. And the answer is from an ardent Bitcoiner, is like, you can't know. They can tell you that it's there, but you don't know. You have to trust them. And that's trusting, a counterparty. That's putting your trust in the counterparty. Just like, do you have those dollars in your bank account? You don't know. You're trusting your bank has those dollars for you, right? And same thing. So, if you get into this, you start studying more, you find out it's like, oh, well, there's this thing called self-custody, and there's different ways you can go about it. So you can you can use a piece of software, like a software wallet. I use Sparrow pretty regular. You can do it that way, or you can use you can put it on a paper wallet that's generated off on a machine that's not connected to the internet at all. I mean, So there's like that. And most people are like, oh, it's a lot of trouble, but I still want some protection. And it's like, so I keep hearing about these things like Ledger and Coldcard, and what are those? So you start looking into that. Well, these are hardware wallets. Well, I don't have it plugged in right now, but I've got this one here called Seed Signer. And this doesn't store anything, but it gives you all the capabilities of, I'll boot it up. So
What kind of board you got on there? What's the Raspberry Pi on that thing?
So it's built on a Pi Zero.
Zero with Wi-Fi or no?
No Wi-Fi, no. In fact, there's the version that I had, originally I built it by hand. So that's what it looks like.
Did you put the headers on it, or did you get a board with headers?
Hang on, so this one I bought as is from at the Tabcom. Let me hang on a second. I've got my first version of it. Hang on.
You got some binging going on over there. It's like doom.
Yeah, I hear that. It's probably something. So here's my original version. I made it by hand.
Oh, cool. So it has two USB-C ports, one for power, one for
Yeah, it
data?
does. I don't know why they have two. I guess just yeah, you can power it with one of them, and it's got a little HDMI header. Of course, it's covered up by the case, so for this one, but it's just got one exposed. But it's got a little SD card slot there, and you could see that the cable from my camera was way too long, so it's sticking out. So that's the camera there.
Where'd you get those little booties for the bottom?
I made those.
Oh, cool.
Because notice that the camera sticks out. If I set it down, when you're looking at the screen, you want to set it down on something, and it was rocking all over. And I didn't have at the time. I didn't have a case. I don't have a 3D printer to make a case for it, so I just took some glue stick.
Okay.
Fashioned little things so that it would sit flat on a surface, but it's still it's fully functional.
Yeah, but you can't get those Raspberry Pi Zero boards anymore.
Yeah, they're getting hard to get, and
you can get one of those LCD wave hats or whatever you got there. You can get those.
Yeah,
but you can't get the boards. Super hard to get.
No, and it's even harder to get the ones that don't have the Wi-Fi chip.
Yeah.
And I think, this one, I couldn't get the one without the Wi-Fi chip in it, but you can follow a procedure to go in and knock out a resistor that disables it completely. So I physically went and modified this board so that it had no Wi-Fi whatsoever.
Oh, is that the one with the Wi-Fi? It's a W?
Yeah, this is a W.
So you went in with channel locks and just ripped off one of those little black...
it was nervous as hell doing it. I was like, this could be the end of my board here. Here, it's booting up now.
Well, what did you use? Did you use channel locks or just pliers?
I just used some needle nose pliers.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was nerve wracking. It's I was like, man, if this thing messes up, then I have to go throw it in the garbage and buy another one. But yeah, you can see the.
Yeah, it's cool. So
joystick
they have the bigger ones too, that the giant ones, jumbo or whatever they're called. Do you think they're going to have it compatible with the new Raspberry Pi boards because the Zero's so hard to get?
Yeah, I saw in their repo that they've got builds for the other platforms. Yeah, finding this, such minimally capable hardware is hard because the hardware vendors want to pack everything as much as possible into these things to make it more valuable, and you kind of want to get away from it, which is why people want a packaged version of things like Coldcard.
Yeah,
right. So again, the people that were really into this, that were really trying to do absolutely the best things, they probably watched a bunch of YouTube videos from different sources to get different opinions, and they probably heard over, a long period of time of them doing their research that, well, this Coldcard keeps coming up as one of the best devices, to use to take self-sovereignty of my Bitcoin. I'm going to get one of those. It's more expensive than some of these other ones, but it's got a display, it's got all the buttons, whatever your decision was based on. But if your decision was largely based on, kind of what other seemingly people in the know, recommended. I mean, I know Ben Perrin of Bitcoin Session, BTC Sessions would often talk about it. I know that Matthew Crowder was a big voice in the community, was always talking about it. It's like they feel that there was that exploit was in the hardware for 5 years. So for 5 years, people built up this trust that the wallets, the seeds that they were generating with that device were secure. And, it just wasn't the case. So it amounts to a huge deception is what it is. And I think, it really rocked the community hard, and especially the people that were the most ardent about stacking Bitcoin were the ones that got targeted. Now, I never got around to getting one. I kind of thought about it, but I had already gotten these things, and I'm all over the map with, trying different stuff. So I just didn't have it in my mix, which was just fortunate. But,
well, the seed signer, I like the seed signer because it doesn't store anything. Once you unplug the power, boom, there's nothing on the device. I like that it's just some sort of open source project where the hardware is not Bitcoin specific. It can be used for anything. People use Raspberry Pis for anything. That's great. But one thing that I don't like as much is that you have to manually enter your seed every time you want to make a transaction or sign something.
That's not true.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Maybe you can save it on SD card or something.
Well, I'm not going to show the whole thing, but yeah, there's a process by which you can manually create a QR code. So they give you these templates.
Okay.
So you can print these QR things.
Maybe you shouldn't even be showing that at all, though, right?
Well, I've got my hand covering half of it.
Okay.
So that's not enough to scan it, but you can get the idea.
Hopefully
so
not.
You point now. It's like there's not that much error correction.
Okay. All right.
You can on that whole thing that big, you can mess up a couple pixels and it'll still work, but not half of it.
Okay.
But anyway, you take that and then you point the camera at it and then it'll read it and boom, the key is loaded. So then you can form a transaction.
Okay, that's
Normally
cool.
I can go into Sparrow. I can say, send this much to Jason, and it'll say, show your seed signer. The display will actually display a QR code sequence that will transmit it in. So I can do the signing part of it offline.
Okay, that's cool. But then if someone comes in and grabs that card, that's your wallet. They could also scan it, right?
Oh yeah, like that thing I was showing that it's actually a metal plate. So with the key seeds hammered into it. So it's like,
that's cool.
if it gets caught in fire, it's going to survive. But yeah, that's the thing that needs to be kept secret. If they come and they see this on my desk and grab it, it doesn't help them.
Right. Well, it might help them because I could use that. It would help me.
Right. But if you saw this sitting on my desk, would you think to steal it?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't steal it, but I would definitely want it.
Anyway.
I got to get a seed signer, but I can't find Raspberry Pis.
Yeah. So the other thing is when you buy a seed signer. So say you bought this online and showed up at your door. So there's now a record of you at seed signer. They have a shipping record. UPS has a record of, now UPS may not know what it is, but seed signer knows what it is, or whoever you bought it from. And there's now a record of you buying a very secure Bitcoin signing device going between your name identifiable to your address. So now say that company, some vendor or seed signer themselves or whatever, they get hacked and their customer database gets leaked and put on the black web. Now there's a place where somebody can say, oh, I don't have to go to every single door and threaten people to give me your Bitcoin. I have a very targeted list of people who in all likelihood are ardent Bitcoiners. You wouldn't buy one of these unless you had some intention to store Bitcoin, right? So it kind of like is a big red flag. It's like wearing a big T-shirt out in public that says, oh, I'm a big Bitcoiner. I love Bitcoin. OG Bitcoiner. Blah blah blah. What are you advertising? You're advertising that you're a target. It'd be like wearing a big thick gold chain on your neck. It's like that's just tempting for somebody to come like hit you over the head with a wrench and and steal your stuff. So yeah, that's why the first one, if you buy a Raspberry Pi and a screen and a camera device, I could be doing anything with this. It's not particular. So it's like, even though there's records of me receiving those things to my house, that's why when I got this one, when you go to Bitcoin shows, bring cash.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can pick up stuff like this with cash and no receipt, no KYC, you just have it. Right?
Now, do you check the firmware? Do you re-flash it with new firmware, or do you just accept it?
It's been updated. Like more recent versions have added like other languages and stuff, but functionally, like the very first version didn't have Taproot signing, so I had to upgrade it to like they added that later after I had gotten started. So they will add some features, but again, their stuff is completely open source as well. You can verify it by the byte, so they're very very open about their stuff. Again, it's like just because you roll a bunch of dice, put the stuff in here, use the camera to create a seed, type in the word, put in words yourself. How do you know that this thing is actually you're using that to create the seed? You would have to like look in the code.
Yeah.
And most people aren't going to look in the code.
Most people aren't going to look in the code. Most people, even if they do, they're not going to understand it, So there is some level of trust, me personally, that other people smarter than me have looked at the code. That even applies to Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin open source, decentralized, 21 million? Is that even the cap? All these types of things.
Yeah, exactly. But it is open source and you can look at it. In fact, one of the fallouts of this Coldcard exploit has been a team of ardent Bitcoiners have swung into action to audit as many Bitcoin projects called the Red Team, kind of informally. But they have been auditing all the Bitcoin projects with AI and have been getting in touch with the teams to they found problems. They found a problem with BTCPay Server. They found problems with Core Lightning channels, and now people are in the midst of responding and trying to get stuff upgraded. It's a weird thing because you don't want to tell a potential hacker what the exploit is, because then they can there's people are on vacation, right? Running the Lightning node, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks. I can't even get to my machine. If they announce an exploit and it affects my setup, then I don't have a chance to respond and like upgrade or do anything or even turn it off. So it's like they have to be responsible about how they disclose. So it goes usually something like this: we found something that requires an upgrade. We're not going to tell you what it is, but we're going to give you the binary upgrade so that you can get things upgraded. And after some period of time, we'll reveal what the actual exploit is once everybody's had time to proactively respond to it, such that the information about the exploit isn't, something, because you have to presume that as soon as the information gets out, that people will mischievous people will use AI to try to exploit it as fast as possible.
Well, this thing was the Coldcard exploit. It was like being prepared. Somebody was ready to go because it just happened real quick, but you had to collect those addresses, check them if they had Bitcoin. Something was going on really fishy with this thing.
Well, it was somebody could have done that at any point in time for the last 5 years.
Right.
Any point in time.
But
it's like, now if you had done it like the day after they released that version of the firmware, then nobody would have had done anything for you to steal, right? And you could say, well, maybe Coldcard as a company was just getting rolling and they hadn't sold that many units after 6 months. So then it's like, well, the population of people that have actually stored some amount of value at those, low entropy addresses, hadn't grown that much. But after 5 years of it being trusted and talked about and influencers like recommending it and everything else, yeah, you get more and more. Your target audience gets more and more, and the value of what you can steal is more and more. So, this came right on the heels of the introduction of the Kimi K3 Chinese model. So there's a lot of speculation that whoever hacked this used that open source model to really, inspect the code bases of probably a lot of projects, found this exploit, and then immediately built a program with AI to exploit it, and then started doing it all in the course of probably a day. So, when that's what you're up against, now you have to presume everything that you build is going to be attacked, and probably viciously, because the cost to attack it and the sophistication is the cost is low, sophistication is high. So yeah, we're entering a new world with all this stuff. So
do you think the person who did it's going to get caught? There was something about he might have used some sort of credit card centralized service for some of his research.
They know from the investigation so far, they know that the patterns of the exploit of people getting their wallets drained matched up with a certain blockchain information vendor, and they in their logs found correlating activity to a particular user. So they have a username of this blockchain info vendor, and but it was a paid account, because typically you get a little bit of free and then you get throttled. So if you want a lot of information, you might have to pay. Well, the question then becomes like, do they have payment record of that customer, and does that payment information have KYC information that could lead them back to a person, or like if they could track the IP address of that person, if they weren't smart enough to do that while they were under VPN, like we were mentioning earlier. It's like, it's that maybe there's a way to identify them that way, which, I really want the people that were stolen from to be restored, if at all possible, even if it's not completely restored, at least, largely restored. I mean, I think that would be the best thing to see, but you have to it's kind of like this free speech thing, right? It's like, you can't be for free speech, but then, well, I don't like this person, like they're spouting hate speech. It's like, no, hate speech is speech and free speech is speech. So in this respect, it's like, should the stolen Bitcoin be traced? Should it be tainted or labeled such that if somebody sent some piece of that stolen Bitcoin to me, then some entity would say, no, that's part of stolen property, that's not yours. And I think we have to think about, as a community, it's like, how far we want justice to be served, but how far should things be tracked to enable the justice versus but yet maintain our privacy, right, as legitimate users? And I think it's an open question that we're going to have to figure out. I think the good news of this is that effectively the red team is front running a lot of future exploit. We'll never know what sort of attack didn't happen because of their efforts. But on the other hand, it's like, it's kind of a wake-up call to the community. It's like, when you thought you were doing all the right things and trusting all the right sources and people and doing your due diligence, even then you can get hurt. And that's a super hard lesson.
There's
So
there's no way that we could blacklist or these coins. There's just no way, because if that's the case, then Bitcoin's just not fungible. One
well,
Bitcoin doesn't equal one Bitcoin.
that's right. There'll be like some are like tainted and others are not tainted. Like if I mine a Bitcoin, it's like, oh, that's untainted. It's like it doesn't have any history. But this one, for some reason, went through these pathways, these channels. Maybe it hit a mixer, maybe it came out of a mixer, got recombined, and suddenly now it's in your wallet. And it's like, or there's been cases of people taking known stolen Bitcoin or other cryptos and then intentionally sending pieces of it to political enemies. So say, look, oh, this person's got, and you can't prevent receiving Bitcoin. There's nothing in the protocol that says I can block people from sending me money. You can't. So you get that in your wallet, and then somebody publishes say, hey, this political operative person like has bad Bitcoin in their wallet. I can show because they have shown, they accepted donations or something at some point, whatever. So yeah, these are new questions that are really going to have to be kind of figured out. And I think if you want to be purist, you're going to have to say no, even though we know that those coins are stolen or were stolen at some point, we're not going to treat them any differently than any other coin. It's like, and there's probably going to be a lot of people that don't like that. So
yeah, that's kind of crazy. That is
for the
definitely.
children, right?
What's that?
For the children, we got to protect the children.
Bitcoin needs privacy. There needs to be some sort of privacy. Mixers, you mentioned mixers. How about sending it to Lightning Network and then receiving it back on chain? Does that help at all?
Well, it does somewhat, because anything that happens within the channel that is only recorded by the channel endpoints. So it's any sub actions within it are opaque. Now, there might be new legislation that comes out that says like we got to know about all that stuff too.
Well, let's say this. Let's say this. I send one Bitcoin from wallet 123 to a Lightning wallet, right?
You're right.
I don't do anything. I don't make any Lightning transactions, but you wouldn't know that anyway. Then I send it from Lightning Network back to Bitcoin main chain to address 456. Is there any way to match up Bitcoin main chain addresses 123 and 456?
I don't think so. But it becomes a question of kind of like, how they prosecute, like mafia gangs. It's like, oh, where do you get your money? Like, oh, I run a convenience store.
Yeah.
It's like, let me see your books. It's like, okay, here, you sold a lot of potato chips. I mean, I can see here that you made a lot of money running your convenience store. It's like, let me see your other books. It's right. It's like the real books, the one that's like, the drug sales, right? It's like that's, you can hide information to the point where you can't, or you're forced not to. So it's like all that same stuff I think applies to like Lightning channels, or to like moving it to a mixer to another crypto and then back or whatever, so there's still trails. It may be difficult to trace, but maybe not impossible. So, and we have to remember, it's not, Bitcoin is pseudonymous. It's in the public, but not identified to a particular person inherently. So you have to take protections to kind of, not identify yourself to your Bitcoin at all possible. And it's hard. It's hard to do. So
yeah.
Anyway, what else we got today?
All right. Yeah, actually, I gotta wrap it up though. I gotta drop. So we can leave those. Right. We can leave those ones for next show.
All right, we'll do that. We kind of took a detour today, but that's all right.
Hey, we had a good show, man. We had some good conversation.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what this is all about. So, just to let people know, the indications from the team are we're very close to general announcement. last touches are getting put up on things, and we look forward to like making some big proclamations here soon.
Yep, sounds good. Great talking with you. Thanks for watching,
Thanks,
everyone.
See you, everyone.